Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Oh my god guys, how do we make 130 subs like that quickly? I'm so surprised. And big shout out to Ravenclaw. This man shouted me out and I'm just grateful, man. And this is the 100 sub special, and this is what the winner chose. So we're going to be doing what if DEKU had Quantum Break. And I did some research on this, and this is a really cool game too. So if you guys want to go check out the game, go do it. And other than that guys, let's get started. Okay, so before I start off, I need to explain Izuku's powers because there's a decent of them. And heads up, they all start with time. So we start off with time vision. So you can basically look into the past and see the events, the past senses, and basically see things around him. Then he's got time stop. Basically he can like shoot a bubble from his fingertips and basically stop time in a certain place, and he can also stop time surrounding him. And then he's got time dodge. Basically it's the tiny teleportation. And then we got time shield. So he can basically make a bubble, and this bubble can like stop any projectile, like basically anything. And if they're inside it, they get knocked back. And then we got time rush. So basically he's becoming the Flash here. He can basically run through time and he's like super slow, like everything around him is super slow. And then we got time blast. Basically a force of energy is just blasted at someone. It's not like fire or anything, it's just a force of energy. It's basically invisible. So let's get started off with the what if. So we start off our story with Izuku protecting a kid that Kacchan was bullying. As Kacchan tells Izuku to get lost and that he can't protect him without a quirk. As Izuku yells with all his might that he'll protect him even without a quirk. As Kacchan gets annoyed at this and goes for a right hook punch straight at Izuku's face. As Izuku lifts up his hands ready to protect himself. But before the punch could even make contact, Kacchan immediately stops, as everyone is confused in what's going on. Then one of Kacchan's lackeys walks towards Kacchan, but as he gets close to him, he also immediately stops, as everyone is just confused in what's going on. As everyone is just staring, Izuku lets go of his hands and the punch from Kacchan resumes. But Izuku, not knowing how to use his quirk, immediately time dodges through Kacchan, as all of them are confused in what's happening, especially Kacchan, as he just saw Izuku teleport right behind him. But Izuku knew what was going on. He got his quirk. As Izuku got serious and time dodge again and punches Kacchan straight in the face, knocking him back and giving him a bloody nose. But a teacher sees this and takes both Izuku and Kacchan, as Kacchan starts snarling at Izuku, but nothing's gonna make Izuku sad here because he got his quirk and he's on top of his world right now. So as Izuku gets into the principal's office, the principal starts yelling at both of them as he calls both of their parents. As Inko picks Izuku up and scolds Izuku, then asks Izuku what his quirk is. As Izuku starts explaining his quirk and something that's related to time, Inko immediately stops the car and tells Izuku to explain more. As Izuku does, she drives in a different way and she drives to Monarch. So let me explain this. In the game, the antagonist of the story is the company Monarch. So in this what if, I'm gonna make them semi-good guys. So they're the government officials that work with the heroes, and they train military program soldiers where they can basically improve their skills. And Inko is one of them. So both Izuku and Inko enter the building that with the Monarch logo. As they enter, Inko tells Izuku to sit down. So Izuku sits down and waits for his mother, as his mother comes back with a Black Widow outfit, as they both start walking toward a room. As they enter the room and they see a man, as this man tells Izuku that he's a special quirk doctor that involves in very powerful quirks. Izuku is still very confused as he doesn't even know what's going on. As the quirk doctor diagnoses Izuku and says that his quirk is called Quantum Break. And then he starts explaining Izuku's powers. That his powers are time vision, time stop, time dodge, time shield, time rush, and time blast. As Izuku is just happy at the amount of abilities that he has. And Inko is just shocked at the amount of abilities that Izuku has. As both of them thank the quirk doctor and they exit the room. Then Inko starts dragging Izuku to another room and puts him in a completely white room, as Izuku is just confused in what's going on. Then Inko tells Izuku to get ready to use his quirk. Then the simulation starts. buildings start appearing out of nowhere, and a villain with a money bag appears. As Izuku sees this and tells the villain to stop, then the villain laughs and says, "What are you gonna do, kid?" Then Izuku time rushes behind the villain and time blasts the villain, and then everything starts to dissipate. As Izuku is still very confused because this happened really quickly. As Inko runs out and tells Izuku that he did a good job and that he's gonna be training here. And then Inko starts explaining Monarch to Izuku, but Izuku is still confused because, he's still a little kid. But then they started leaving, but as they were leaving, Izuku sees a strange device, but he doesn't know what it is because he feels like it's similar to him, but he's still very confused. As they start exiting the building, Izuku can't stop thinking about it and asks his mom. Then his mom says that she doesn't actually know and that she's actually forbidden from going into that room because she doesn't have the proper authority to go in there. So now Izuku's been trained by Monarch for a few years, and he's actually been trained by the #1 hero of America, Captain Celebrity. As both Izuku and Captain Celebrity spar, Captain Celebrity was too fast for Izuku to stop him in a certain place. So Captain Celebrity gives Izuku an idea, and this idea is related to his own quirk. For his quirk, he has a tiny bit of air layering his body so he can't take that much damage. So Izuku takes that concept and uses his time bubble and stores it on his body, a tiny bit of it. As he does this, he realizes that his time bubble is storing up kinetic energy, as Izuku is just confused in what's going on. As he's storing up this energy, he releases it at once, and he immediately dashes forward faster than his regular time rush, and basically crashes into the wall, unable to control his new ability. And I'm calling this ability Kinetic Time Rush. So Izuku continues on training with Monarch, but he still doesn't completely understand or agree with Monarch, but he still continues on training with them until the UA entrance exam. So this is where our time skip is going to be. So we're going to time skip to the start of the anime. So now we start off with Izuku sitting in class, bored, as the teacher walks in holding some papers. As he gets to the podium and then throws the papers in the air, and then says that he knows that everyone wants to be a hero, as everyone starts to show off their quirk except for Kacchan and Izuku. Then the teacher started to explain what school that people wanted to go to. Then he got to both Izuku and Kacchan, then says that he sees both Izuku and Kacchan want to go to UA, as Kacchan looked at Izuku with an annoyed face, with Izuku returning it with a grin, as Kacchan got even more annoyed. As the end of class came, Kacchan went up to Izuku's desk and is about to explode it. But before that could happen, Izuku stopped Kacchan with his time bubble and then moved the desk, and then resumed Kacchan, and Kacchan fell to the floor, exploding the floor. But then Izuku starts to laugh and Kacchan tells Izuku to shut up. Then Izuku goes home wanting to take a shortcut because he wanted to get home early. As he was taking the shortcut, he uses his time vision and senses that something is coming, as he gets into a fighting stance and realizes that the sludge monster popped out of the vent. As he gets ready, he uses his time bubble and stops the sludge monster in its place. Then he goes back and charges up as much kinetic energy as possible, and then resumes the sludge monster and punches him as hard as he can, as all the kinetic energy releases. As this happens, he also uses his time blast and makes the sludge monster explode everywhere. Then Izuku gets 2 bottles and puts the sludge monster in it. Then Izuku didn't know what to do with the bottles, so he was about to just leave it off the side of the road. Then all of a sudden, All Might comes in saying, "I'm here!" And then he gives the bottles to All Might and starts fanboying out. As All Might keeps on asking Izuku and how he beat the sludge monster, Izuku keeps on retorting with a question of his own. But All Might didn't have time for this and just starts to jump away. But then Izuku grabs onto his leg and All Might jumps. Then All Might notices that Izuku is on his leg and starts to push him off. But then Izuku tells him that he needs to be on or else he'll fall off and die. Then All Might says, "Oh yeah, that's right." And then they land on the roof and All Might starts scolding Izuku. But All Might didn't notice that his timer was about to run out. Then All Might poofs. And Izuku didn't know what was going on as he was just very confused and thought this was a fake All Might. Izuku is about to use this quirk on All Might, as All Might assures Izuku that he's the real All Might and there's no need to fight. As Izuku calms down, All Might starts to explain his injury and his fight with All for One. As Izuku is just shocked at this and is just like astonished. And then Izuku thinks a bit more and then tells All Might that he might be able to heal him. As All Might is just confused at what Izuku said. As Izuku starts to explain his quirk, and All Might is just astonished at Izuku's quirk and he's just like, mind boggled. And then he comes up to All Might and touches his wound as he tries to rewind it, but nothing happens. And then Izuku says sorry to All Might, and All Might says it's okay. But before they could even continue on with their conversation, a loud explosion occurred. Before even All Might noticed, Izuku jumped off the building and landed perfectly without hurting himself, as he started running faster and faster, All Might is just astonished, because he thought his quirk was time-based, not physical-based. As Izuku got to the explosion, he sees the sludge monster, and then he sees Kacchan. As Izuku thinks back, he realizes that he must have knocked out the bottles when he must have grabbed All Might, as Izuku is just mad at himself. And then without even thinking, he runs into battle, and then uses his time bubble and stops the sludge monster from moving. Then uses his time rush and goes right behind the sludge monster and grabs Kacchan out. Then uses his kinetic punch and then gets rid of the sludge monster as it explodes everywhere. As All Might gets there, he sees this and he's impressed by Izuku, as he thinks to himself like his quirk is not meant for this battle, but he still found innovative ways to use his quirk to beat the sludge monster, as All Might is impressed. As everyone starts to praise Izuku for defeating the sludge monster, as Kacchan is just annoyed by this, as he doesn't say anything and just snarls at Izuku and leaves. As Izuku starts walking, All Might interrupts him and starts talking to him, and then starts to explain One for All, and then tells Izuku that he wants him to be the next successor. As Izuku is just astonished by this, and looks at All Might, and then says, okay guys, I think this is where I'm going to leave it off for now. If you guys want to know if Izuku accepts One for All or declines it, you guys are just going to have to wait for the next part. And this was an idea from IGA. He was the winner of the 100 subscriber special. And guys, please don't forget to go join my Discord. This is where you guys can give me what if ideas that I might do and like other ideas. So don't forget to do that. And don't forget to, subscribe, like, and share, that good stuff. And other than that, guys, I hope you guys have a good day.